Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org with a video tutorial for the new Boston. In this video I'm going to go ahead and solve a problem of duplicating a particular button. We're going to be creating a button on the page, so just a simple button around here. When we click it, I want a message to be displayed, but then I also want this button to duplicate. Now with the duplicate, I'm not going to be using clone, I'm just going to be creating a new element using after, and I'm going to be placing the code for a button, so the input type equals button, with the rest of the properties and a particular class next to that. I then want that same class to be clickable and for it to, produce another button and repeat the process essentially. So I'm going to go ahead and inside of my text editor write out the button. So we'll go ahead and say input type equals button. Value, I'm just going to say click, and I'm going to go ahead and give this a class, and I'm just going to call this duplicate. Okay, so when I click on this, I want a message to appear, a dialog window to appear, and then I want to duplicate the button. So just a quick overview of what files we're using. Obviously we've got jQuery.js included, and we've also got ext.js, which is the file that we're going to be working in to append the event handler to this. And we're going to go on to use the live event handler, or the live event handler, however you want to pronounce it or say it, and we're going to be solving the problem as we can't do this at the moment. So inside ext.js, let's just wait for our document to be ready. So I'm going to say document.ready, and then in here we're going to go ahead and run the rest of the code inside here. Okay, so what do we want to do first of all? Well, we want to go ahead and append on an event handler for any class of duplicate. So let's go ahead and say .duplicate as our selector, and then I'm going to say .click, and then inside of this I'm going to go ahead and run a function. So what do I want to happen when any class duplicate is clicked? I want to go ahead and I want to alert you have clicked. Okay, so now when I refresh, the event handler clicked is called, I guess, or we found this click event, and it says you have clicked. Fair enough, but now what I want to do is go ahead and I want to duplicate this input field here. So all I'm going to simply do is I'm going to say this dot after, and then I'm just going to rewrite in the code. So I'm going to rewrite the input class, type, and the value. So we're going to say input type equals, and that's obviously a button. The value I want to say click, and I'm going to keep the same class as before, which is duplicate. Now the main aim here is we've clicked the duplicate button, the first one of the instance of it on our page, then we're alerting something out, and then we're placing the same code for the same button using the same class afterwards. But the problem that we'll find is this then will not be able to select our new button, and I'll show you, and then I'll tell you why. So I'll click on click, it says you have clicked. You can see it's added that code that we specified in here after our current button. When I click this, nothing will happen. And the reason for this is it's been created on the fly, essentially using jQuery, and therefore it's not really part of the page. Like if we view the source of this page, you can see that it only shows one button on here. So what we need to do is we want to use the live event handler that will actually take into account both pre-written page elements and also elements that have been added during our jQuery execution, or our jQuery running of our code, if you like. So we'll make a few simple changes. I'll go ahead and just get rid of this. In fact, I'll get rid of all of it. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is, this is an extremely simple explanation of the live event handler. There are loads more options, so if you go over to jQuery.com, the documentation will sort of show you a lot more.